promise.
What had I done? And now it was all up to me?
I suggest you start drinking and don't stop till New Year's.
Hello friends, my name is Stevie Cade and welcome to Film Trigger. It's pretty much officially Christmas time, still celebrating Xmas at the Cade house, so you'll see some Xmas reviews coming out as well as some Thanksgiving and Christmas reviews. I am very happy and proud to bring this next review, and that's A Christmas Story Christmas, the sequel to the classic A Christmas Story. But before we dive into my thoughts of this movie, if you could, hit that like, thumbs up button, that subscribe button, and the little bell ding thing so you get notified every time I upload a new video. That's how you're going to help this channel grow, guys. I have so many more ideas that I'm waiting for my subscribe count to go up to pull the trigger on, and I need your support to do so. So if you want to see some more exciting content from my channel, head down, subscribe, like, and do what I just told you to do. Thanks. Without further ado, let's dive into my movie review for A Christmas Story Christmas. I had very little hopes for this movie, but when I saw the trailer, I thought, okay, they kind of captured the charm here, but did they capture the magic? Did they capture the heart of the original film? So with that on the back of our minds, let's immediately dive into what I do like about this film. And the answer is yes. This movie 100% captured not only the charm, but the heart of the original movie, and I was shocked that they did. We live in a world where sequels, especially sequels that come straight to streaming, just aren't that good. I mean, look at that Home Alone piece of shit that landed on Disney Plus. I mean, my God, what a horrible fucking movie. What a horrible sequel. It did not capture any of the magic of the original film, but this movie does. Peter Billingsley not only steps back into the role as Ralphie, but like, I see Ralphie. Like, I was watching the movie and like, this is Ralphie. This is Ralphie grown up. It's like watching your own kids grow up almost. Not only does he physically look the part, but he just acted the part. Like, I believe this to be a today version of Ralphie.
One day you're playing kick the can with kids named Flick and Schwartz.
I triple dog dare you!
And the next thing you know, you're a certified adult.
Ralphie!
And they play back into the charm of the original movie with Ralphie's imagination, you know, what goes on in his head, how he thinks the situation's gonna go, the worst outcome possible. It did the same thing that the first movie did, but just updated it. Like, it was new. I didn't feel like it was being recycled or regurgitated in any sort of way, even though it kind of is, but that's just the nature of the story being told. Even Peter Billingsley doing the narration in this movie, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. When I first heard the narration, I wrote it down on my notes for what I'm on the fence about. And that was because I had no clue what this movie was going to bring. I thought this movie was going to focus on the kids and like they were going to get into their own little A Christmas Story shenanigans. And I thought, well, maybe the kids should have narrated. But a quarter away into the movie, I scratched that off the list. Not only was I happy that Peter Billingsley did the narration of the movie, but I actually started to believe that like, this is the same voice from the first movie. Now, obviously it's not, but Peter Billingsley did such a good job of just kind of forming himself into that narration that I honestly, little bit of suspension of disbelief, and I completely connected the two movies as canonical. Like, it fit perfectly and it won me over. Not only did it win me over, but the story definitely surpassed my expectations, thinking this was going to be a regurgitation with his kids. No, it made me realize that they stuck to the original concept of this being a Ralphie story. Just like the first movie was a Ralphie story, this is also a Ralphie story, just with his family.
Slowly I could feel the Christmas ember beginning to glow again.
And another thing I really enjoy about this film is that they could have easily played into the nostalgic part of this film, but they didn't. They actually did a really good job of keeping that at bay. Little bits and pieces, like when he's in the attic in the movie and you see little things from the first movie, like you see the lampshade of the leg lamp, but you never actually see the leg lamp. I love that. That was a very appropriate way to add nostalgia into the movie without harping on to it too much, which they very easily could have done in this film. And that's because this movie hones in on the human aspect of storytelling. It doesn't depend on nostalgic factors. It doesn't depend on throwbacks and callbacks to the original. Yes, they're in there and they're necessary, but they play into the story, and then left the rest of the storytelling to help build characters and development and actually build the story itself. So kudos to this movie for that. And I also think the story that brought Ralphie back to his hometown was very organic. It was very genuinely done. It wasn't like a forced nature to bring Ralphie back. And it had some heaviness, it had some heart, it had some emotional pull to the story of why they did it. And I thought it worked out very well.
Ralph, dear old man.
Fragile.
He was the best.
And the last thing I really enjoyed about this movie was it was genuinely funny. I laughed out loud quite a few times. Again, not what I expected to do going into this film.
When it's just us decorating, it kind of feels like child labor.
Honey, it's not labor if we don't pay you.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I thought maybe the movie might be funny, but lack on the charm and the heart. But no, it was funny. It had the same humor, it had the same charm, it had the same heart. I really enjoyed watching this film. But there are some things I am on the fence about when it comes to this movie. Now, this is more of a petty point. I'm going to be honest with you. But when it happened, it really took me out of the moment a little bit. And they did this like Christmas bit that you see in a lot of Christmas movies, most notably Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase, with the Christmas tree that's too big for the living room, but dad makes it work. Like, okay, you straight up stole that from Christmas Vacation, whatever. It wasn't necessary for the movie to do that. And when they did that, I was just kind of like, really, guys? Really? I'll give it to you just because the rest of the movie was fine. But for that moment, they didn't need to do that.
My dad made this all look so easy.
Another thing I'm on the fence about when it comes to this movie is I felt the bully storyline that was being told was kind of shoehorned in there. I get why they did it, but just the narrative in which they did it, the bullies are picking on the little kids. It doesn't quite work as well as I think they thought it would, because in the original film, it was Ralphie's story. Ralphie had to deal with the bullies. You were going through Ralphie's life of dealing with these certain situations. And in this movie, the bullies are bullying his kids. And you're not really following the kid's story in this movie. So you kind of get a third-person perspective of the bullying. So it doesn't have quite the same impact. I know why it's there, but I honestly think you could have plucked that out of this movie and it wouldn't have changed too much. But rethinking about the movie, it's definitely one of the more forgettable parts of the film, but it doesn't take me out of the movie entirely, so that's why I'm on the fence with it. Now let's talk about Mother Peters. Mom and Dad in this movie don't have a name. They're simply credited as Mother or Mrs. Peters and Old Man Peters, which I think is pretty fun. I understand Melinda Dillon didn't reprise her role because she's been retired since 2007. Comedic actress Julie Haggerty came on board to take up that mantle, and I have zero issues with this at all. But the issue that I do have is I kind of wish the mom had a better emotional role in the film. I definitely think it was a missed opportunity for her to be the heart of this movie, or at least be part of the heart of this movie. The whole film is based around her husband passing away and the family coming together for that, and she doesn't really seem too affected by it. And they do give some dialogue to this.
Ralphie, promise me we're gonna make this a wonderful Christmas. That would make your father so happy.
I promise.
So I get that, but I would have liked to have seen at least one moment, like one monologue or one scene where she kind of pours her heart out a little bit. And I think that definitely would have added way more heart to her character and made her character a little bit more lovable, as opposed to a back burner character that she ended up being in this movie. So yes, I would have really enjoyed her having her moment in the movie and then keeping the rest of the movie just the way it was. Now moving along with what I don't like about this film, and there's only one real thing that I didn't like about the movie. This is kind of spoilers, but kind of not. So whatever, it's really not spoilers. It doesn't let you in on anything about the movie that you don't already know from the trailer, but it's definitely not shown in the trailer. And that's at the very end of this movie when Ralphie is reading the eulogy that he wrote for his father in the newspaper. And I thought they did a very creative thing here. They made his eulogy kind of be the start of the original Christmas Story movie, where almost what he's reading is what ends up being the narration for the first movie. And I thought that was very well done. The one thing that really bothered me, and when they did it, I was like, oh, God, man, way to blow the last line of this movie, is while he's reading it, they kind of morphed his voice back into the original narrator of the first movie, and they fade into the original film's opening. And I'm going to be honest with you, it just did not work. Took me completely out of the moment. I was like, wait, why did his voice change? Oh, I guess Ralphie's voice isn't as close to the original as I thought it was, and it really just took me out of the moment for sure. I would have rather have just had Peter Billingsley's voice be the voice on top of the original movie's footage. It would have been a seamless transition, honestly. The fact that they used the original narrator's voice, I get it, tip of the hat to the original actor who did that, but at the same time, it really takes away from the believability that Peter Billingsley is the same narrator from the first movie. I thought Peter Billingsley did a very fine job kind of emulating that original voice. And because it was that exclamation point at the end of the movie, it really just put a sour taste right at the end of the movie of what was otherwise a very fun watch. But overall, as I said, I was not looking forward to this movie going into it. I honestly didn't think the movie needed to be made. I thought it passed its time. This movie did what Top Gun Maverick did, and that was show you that 40 years later, you can tell a story that seems like a seamless continuation of the original movie and not playing into the nostalgic tropes too much. They completely Mavericked this Christmas movie. And honestly, I could see this movie falling into the classic Christmas movie playlist. You know that, well, I forget what is it, TMC, I don't know, whatever cable channel plays the Christmas story 24 hours a day during Christmas Day. I can see them plucking this movie so they play back to back and then playing that 24 hours a day. It's definitely a wonderful legacy sequel, all around just enjoyable film. Though I thought there was a few missteps and a couple of missed opportunities as well, it does not eschew my overall enjoyment of the movie, and for that reason, I'm giving this film a B+.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Well, it was pretty good.
There you have it, guys. There's my review for A Christmas Story Christmas. Have you seen this movie? Are you excited for this movie? Do you think this movie held up to the original? Obviously, the original's been around for 40 years and has built up this cult following, not on top of it just being a classic Christmas movie. But does this sequel hold up to a true sequel? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, be sure to check out some more of my videos, and as always, stay trigger happy, my friends. Peace.
Hey kids, who wants to go see Santa?
This is amazing. Incredible.
We will meet you right here when you're done.
Don't let him kick you in the face.